Your mum could feed a table of 6 a proper pudding for less than the price of a Mars bar, and she did it every single week. In the 1970s, British kitchens ran on ingenuity, not ingredients. Desserts were built from custard powder, stale sponge, tinned fruit, and whatever was lurking at the back of the cupboard. Number 18 on this list uses an ingredient most people would throw straight in the bin today. Number 7 was so popular in school canteens that dinner ladies made it by the gallon. These 25 puddings kept families happy through power cuts, 3-day weeks, and the winter of discontent. Supermarkets replaced them with plastic pots and fancy packaging, but nothing they sell comes close. Before we start, subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. Let us count down 25 forgotten desserts that deserve a comeback. Number 25th, blancmange. That wobbly pink mound sat on kitchen tables across Britain like a pastel-colored UFO. Your mum tore open a packet of Bird's blancmange powder, whisked it into a pint of milk, heated it until thick, and poured it into a wetted, rabbit-shaped mold. 20 minutes of stirring. 2 hours in the fridge. Out it came, trembling and cold, turned onto a plate with a slap and a prayer. Strawberry was the favorite. Chocolate ran a close second. The texture sat somewhere between set custard and rubber, smooth enough to slide off the spoon, but firm enough to hold its shape. Children ate it with tinned mandarins, arranged around the base like tiny orange life rings. A packet served 4 and cost almost nothing. Mothers kept 3 or 4 flavors stacked in the cupboard for emergencies. A last-minute birthday tea, unexpected visitors, a Wednesday when the biscuit tin was bare. Blancmange asked nothing of you except patience and a clean mold. It vanished when mousses and yogurt pots took over the chilled aisle, but nothing wobbled quite the same. Number 24. Tinned fruit cocktail and evaporated milk. The weeknight pudding that required 0 cooking and exactly 30 seconds of effort. Your mum opened a tin of Del Monte fruit cocktail, spooned it into bowls, and poured carnation evaporated milk over the top. Done. Those pale cubes of pear and peach, the half-cherries everyone fought over, swimming in sweet, condensed milk. It tasted like a holiday you could not afford. By 1974, tinned fruit cocktail was one of the top 5 grocery items in Britain. Together with evaporated milk, it created a dessert costing about 12 pence that fed the whole family. No oven, no washing up beyond a tin opener and a few bowls. Children who grew up on this can still taste that particular sweetness, the slightly metallic tang of the tin mixing with the caramel richness of the milk. It was never fancy. It was never meant to be. It was pudding when pudding had no right to exist on a Tuesday. Number 23. Semolina pudding. The smell alone divided households. Semolina simmered in milk on the hob, thickening into a pale, porridge-like mass that either comforted you or made you gag. Your mum stirred it constantly to stop it catching, added sugar and a scrape of nutmeg, then served it hot with a blob of jam melting in the center. That red pool of strawberry jam spreading through the white pudding was the only thing that made some children pick up their spoons. School canteens served it in industrial quantities, ladled from enormous steel pots into shallow bowls. Some children loved it. Others sat with arms folded until a dinner lady moved them along. It vanished when instant desserts promised more excitement. But semolina had one advantage nothing else could match. It was warm, filling, and ready in 10 minutes on the coldest night of the year. Number 22. Butterscotch Angel Delight. When Birds launched Angel Delight in 1967, it changed pudding forever. Your mum added a sachet to half a pint of cold milk, whisked for a minute, and the bowl filled with fluffy mousse, like magic. Butterscotch was the undisputed champion flavor, though strawberry had its loyalists. By 1975, over 30 million packets were sold annually in Britain. Children stood by the counter watching the powder transform, begging to lick the whisk. It set in the fridge within an hour, light and airy with a sweetness that tasted almost artificial, but somehow perfect. A packet cost about 8 pence and served 4. Some mums layered it in sundae glasses with crushed digestives and hundreds and thousands for birthday parties. Angel Delight was the dessert that made every child believe their mum was a magician. It still exists today, but the ritual has gone. Nobody stands by the counter anymore, watching cold milk turn into butterscotch clouds. Number 21. Bread pudding. Not bread and butter pudding. Bread pudding. The dense, dark, spiced slab weighed more than a house brick and tasted like Christmas had collided with a doorstep. Your mum soaked stale bread in water until it fell apart, squeezed out the liquid, then mixed in suet, brown sugar, mixed spice, and handfuls of dried fruit, sultanas and currants, and mixed peel if she was feeling generous. It was pressed into a baking tin and cooked until the top turned dark and crunchy. Sliced cold into thick squares, it lasted the week in the bread bin. Children took it to school in lunch boxes. Fathers ate it with a cup of tea after work. The spice hit you first, then the chewiness of the fruit, then the dense, filling weight settling in your stomach like a warm blanket. A whole tray cost less than 15 pence. It was the answer to every leftover heel and crust. The homemade version, dark and heavy and perfect, has all but disappeared. Number 20. Jelly and ice cream. The birthday party dessert every child in Britain expected as a constitutional right. Your mum dissolved a Chivers or Rowntree's jelly tablet in boiling water, topped it up with cold water, and left it to set. Strawberry was standard. Lime was adventurous. Orange was for when Tesco had run out of everything else. Served with a scoop of Vanilla Walls ice cream that melted into the wobbly jelly, creating a sweet, cold pudding children inhaled without breathing. A packet of jelly cost 5 pence. A block of ice cream cost about 20 pence. There was the ritual of checking the fridge every 20 minutes, and the first spoonful where cold jelly met soft ice cream. That was childhood in the 1970s. Pre-made dessert pots killed it. Nobody waits for jelly to set anymore, and something small but real was lost. Number 19. Spotted Dick. Steamed suet pudding studded with currants and served with a flood of hot custard. Your mum mixed self-raising flour, shredded suet, sugar, and dried fruit into a stiff dough, shaped it into a roll, wrapped it in a cloth or foil, and steamed it for 2 hours. The kitchen filled with a warm, bready smell that promised something substantial was coming. Dense, filling, and sweet enough to end any meal on a high note. A single pudding cost less than 20 pence and served 6. The custard was non-negotiable. Bird's custard, made thick, was poured until it pooled around the sponge like a yellow moat. By the 1980s, Spotted Dick had become a punchline rather than a pudding. Supermarket versions in microwavable tubs bore no resemblance to the steamed original. The name embarrassed a generation that had forgotten the taste. Your mum sliced 3 bananas into a glass bowl, poured over a pint of bird's custard, made thick and hot, and left it to cool. That was it. The bananas softened in the warm custard, turning slightly sweet and fragrant, the yellow fruit almost dissolving into the yellow sauce until you could barely tell where one ended and the other began. Bananas were about 5 pence a pound. Custard powder sat permanently in every cupboard. The whole thing took 10 minutes and served 4. Some mums added crushed digestive biscuits on top for texture. Others layered it in glasses and called it a trifle. Banana custard appeared at women's institute teas, school canteens, and hospital trolleys across the country. It was the invisible dessert, so simple and so everywhere that nobody thought to write it down. When fresh cream desserts arrived, banana custard faded without anyone noticing. It deserves better. Number 17. Arctic roll. That frozen Swiss roll with ice cream in the middle was the height of sophistication in a 1970s freezer. Your mum pulled it from the freezer, let it stand for 5 minutes, then sliced it with a sharp knife into neat rounds. Thin sponge wrapped around a cylinder of vanilla ice cream, with a ribbon of jam between the two. Served on the good plates when guests came for tea. Children treated the end slices, where the sponge was thickest, as prizes. An Arctic roll cost about 30 pence, fed 6, and required absolutely no effort. It looked elegant. It tasted like a celebration. It sat in the freezer waiting for the right occasion, sometimes for weeks, building anticipation. When Viennetta arrived in 1982, the Arctic roll was dethroned overnight. One day it ruled the freezer. The next, it was a relic. A cruel fate for a dessert that brought genuine joy. Number 16. Rhubarb crumble. If your family had an allotment or a back garden, rhubarb grew like a weed and cost nothing. Your mum pulled the pink stalks, chopped them into chunks, tossed them with sugar, and topped the lot with a rubble of flour, margarine, and demerara sugar. It was baked until the fruit bubbled and the topping turned golden and crunchy. The tartness of the rhubarb fighting against the sweetness of the crumble made your mouth pucker and smile at the same time. Custard was mandatory. Hot and thick, poured from a jug until the crumble sat in a yellow lake. By 1975, rhubarb grew in nearly every allotment in the industrial north. A crumble served 6 for the price of a bag of sugar. Today, most children have never tasted rhubarb outside a yogurt pot. They have no idea what they are missing. First pattern break. Custard powder, the secret empire. Here is something most people do not realize. Bird's custard powder, that yellow tin in every kitchen, was never meant to contain eggs. Alfred Bird invented it in 1837 because his wife was allergic to eggs. By the 1970s, it had become so dominant that most British families had no idea what real egg custard tasted like. They did not need to. Bird's was custard. Full stop. Your mum made it with milk, sugar, and 2 tablespoons of powder, stirring on the hob until it thickened into that familiar glossy yellow sauce. It went on everything: crumble, sponge pudding, tinned fruit, jam roly-poly, spotted dick, bread pudding, pie. Without Bird's, half the desserts on this list would not have existed. A tin cost about 15 pence and lasted a month. It was the glue that held the entire British pudding tradition together, and it contained no eggs whatsoever. Number 15. Roly-poly. Suet pastry rolled flat, spread thick with bright red strawberry jam, then rolled into a fat log and steamed until it swelled into a sticky, dense, magnificent pudding. Steamed for 90 minutes in a cloth or wrapped in foil, it emerged heavy and glistening. Sliced into rounds, each piece revealed a spiral of red jam through pale sponge. Custard was poured until the plate overflowed. School canteens served it weekly, landing steaming slices onto plastic trays with a satisfying thud. The dinner ladies wielded that ladle like a scepter. A whole roly-poly cost about 10 pence to make and served 6. It was filling enough to silence any complaint about the main course. Nothing has ever replaced the warm, jammy, custard-soaked comfort of a proper roly-poly. Ambrosia creamed rice, straight from the tin, cold or warmed in a saucepan. Your mum kept 3 or 4 tins in the cupboard at all times. Emergency pudding. Sick day pudding. Nothing else in the house pudding. And somehow also perfectly acceptable as a proper dessert when served in a bowl with a spoonful of jam. A tin cost about 9 pence and served 2 adults or 3 children. Some families ate it cold in summer, spooned straight from the tin at the kitchen counter. Others heated it gently, stirring in a knob of butter and a dusting of cinnamon. Ambrosia became so synonymous with rice pudding that many children assumed all rice pudding came from tins. The homemade version, baked for hours with a skin you either loved or despised, was already fading by the mid-1970s. The tin had won. Number 13. Pineapple upside-down cake. The glamorous pudding. Your mum arranged tinned pineapple rings in a buttered cake tin, placed a glaced cherry in the center of each ring, poured sponge batter over the top, and baked until golden. When she turned it out, the pineapple glistened on top like stained glass, the cherries glowing red in their yellow halos. It looked spectacular, like something from a magazine. The sponge soaked up the pineapple syrup from the bottom, making it moist and faintly tropical. The whole thing served 8 and cost under 30 pence. Children stared at it when it came out of the tin, convinced their mother was some kind of artist. Pineapple upside-down cake was proof that a working-class kitchen could produce something beautiful. It faded when Black Forest Gâteau arrived and stole its thunder. Number 12. Chocolate concrete. If you went to school in Britain in the 1970s, you know exactly what this is. A dense, flat, crunchy slab of chocolate something, served in rectangles with bright pink custard. It was not cake. It was not biscuit. It was chocolate concrete, and nothing before or since has tasted like it. Dinner ladies mixed flour, cocoa powder, sugar, and margarine into a dry, crumbly mixture, pressed it into massive baking trays, and baked it until it set hard. Properly hard. You could knock on it, and it sounded like a table. Served warm with that lurid pink custard that tasted of nothing identifiable but somehow worked perfectly. Recipes have circulated online for years, but nobody can quite replicate the exact texture. Something about those industrial ovens and the sheer volume of the trays produced a density that home kitchens cannot match. Chocolate concrete was never sold in shops. It existed only in school canteens, which is why its memory burns so bright. Second pattern break, the power cut puddings. The 3-day weeks of 1974 and the winter of discontent in 1978 meant power cuts were regular features of British life. Families sat in candlelight while the freezer slowly defrosted and the oven stayed cold. Smart mothers kept a repertoire of no-cook puddings that needed nothing but a spoon and a tin opener, fruit cocktail and condensed milk, banana sliced into jelly that had set before the power went, bread and jam rolled into pinwheels. These were survival desserts, invented in kitchens lit by paraffin lamps and candles stuck in milk bottles. The 1970s taught a generation that pudding was not a luxury. It was morale. When the lights went out and the news was grim, a bowl of something sweet meant normality had not completely collapsed. Number 11. Treacle tart, golden syrup, breadcrumbs, and short crust pastry. 3 ingredients. One of the greatest puddings ever created. Your mum lined a pie dish with pastry, mixed Lyle's golden syrup with fresh breadcrumbs and a squeeze of lemon juice, poured it into the case, and baked until the filling set, sticky and golden. The smell was intoxicating. Warm sugar and something almost like toffee drifted through the house. The filling was intensely sweet, chewy in the middle, and crisp at the edges where the syrup had caramelized against the pastry. A tin of Lyle's golden syrup, that green and gold tin with the dead lion, sat in every pantry. Breadcrumbs came from stale bread that would otherwise be wasted. The whole tart served 6 for under 15 pence. It was the pudding that tasted expensive, but cost pennies. Number 10. Instant Whip. Bird's Instant Whip was Angel Delight's slightly less glamorous cousin. Mixed with milk and whisked into a frothy set mousse, it came in flavors like chocolate, strawberry, and lemon. The texture was lighter than Angel Delight, almost fizzy on the tongue, and it set faster. Your mum made it in individual glasses, sometimes layered with crushed biscuit or tinned fruit, creating what she called a sundae. Children drank the leftover mixture straight from the bowl before it set. A packet cost about 6 pence and served 4. It was the pudding that appeared when the shopping had not been done, and there was nothing else in. Instant Whip faded when the chilled dessert aisle exploded in the 1980s, replaced by pots of mousse that cost 5 times as much and tasted half as good. Number 9. Steamed Syrup Sponge. The king of school puddings and Sunday dinner tables alike. Your mum spooned 2 tablespoons of Lyle's golden syrup into the bottom of a pudding basin, poured sponge batter on top, covered it with foil and string, and steamed it for an hour and a half. When she turned it out, the syrup ran down the sides of the pale golden sponge like liquid sunshine. It was served in thick slices with custard so hot it made the bowl too warm to hold. The sponge soaked up the syrup and the custard until every spoonful was a mixture of all 3. Steaming fell out of fashion because it took time. Microwaves promised the same result in 4 minutes, but the texture was never the same. A properly steamed sponge has a tender density that no microwave can replicate. Number 8. Manchester Tart. A short crust pastry case spread with raspberry jam, topped with custard set firm, and finished with a layer of desiccated coconut and a glaced cherry in the center. Manchester Tart appeared on school dinner menus across the north and gradually spread to canteens nationwide. The combination of textures was inspired: crisp pastry, sticky jam, smooth custard, and the dry chew of coconut. Each bite hit differently. Children who hated coconut picked it off. Children who loved it ate the topping first, saving the custard and jam layer for last. Like chocolate concrete, Manchester Tart existed in a parallel universe of institutional cooking that somehow produced things more memorable than anything from a professional bakery. It has largely vanished, surviving only in nostalgic recipe blogs and the fierce loyalty of those who remember it. Number 7. Pink Custard. Not a dessert in itself, but so iconic it deserves its own entry. That bright pink custard, the color of cheap lipstick, was poured over every school pudding, from sponge to concrete to crumble. Nobody knew what flavor it was meant to be. Strawberry, perhaps. Raspberry, possibly. It tasted of sugar, milk, and something vaguely fruity that defied identification. Dinner ladies made it in vats, whisking powder into gallons of milk and adding a few drops of food coloring until it turned that unmistakable shade. Children poured it over everything. Some drank it straight. Teachers pretended not to notice. Pink custard was the taste of school dinners in the 1970s. It vanished when schools outsourced catering and nutritional guidelines tightened. Yellow custard survived. Pink custard did not. An entire generation mourns it. Number 6. Queen of Puddings. A pudding so elegant it seemed misplaced on a working-class table, yet it cost almost nothing. Your mum made a base of breadcrumbs baked in sweetened milk custard, spread it with raspberry jam, then piled meringue on top and browned it golden in the oven. 3 layers, 3 textures, the soft custardy base, the sharp sweetness of the jam, the crisp marshmallowy meringue. It looked like it belonged in a hotel dining room, but it was made from stale bread, an egg, a pint of milk, and a spoonful of jam. The whole thing served 6 for under 15 pence. Mothers who made it earned a reputation. Neighbors asked for the recipe. It faded because it required 3 separate stages, and most modern cooks cannot be bothered. But Queen of Puddings was proof that poverty and beauty were never mutually exclusive. Third pattern break. The custard question. By 1976, the average British family went through a tin of Bird's custard powder every 3 weeks. That single product underpinned an entire national cuisine of puddings. Without it, there was no treacle sponge and custard, no rhubarb crumble and custard, no jam roly-poly and custard. The French had their crème anglaise made with eggs and vanilla. Britain had Bird's. And honestly, most British children would have picked the bright yellow powder version every single time. Custard was not a condiment. It was the delivery system. The pudding was the vehicle. The custard was the destination. Number 5. Butterscotch tart, a biscuit or short crust base filled with thick, toffee-colored butterscotch sauce made from butter, brown sugar, and condensed milk, topped with whipped cream or dream topping. The filling set to a dense, chewy, almost fudge-like consistency that stuck to your teeth and made you close your eyes. Condensed milk was the key. Heated slowly with butter and sugar, it transformed into something that tasted like expensive confectionery. Some recipes called for boiling the unopened tin for hours to make caramel, a method that terrified health and safety experts, but produced extraordinary results. Butterscotch tart vanished when banoffee pie arrived and took all the credit. But butterscotch tart came first, and anyone who tasted the original knows it was better. Number 4. Jam and coconut sponge. A simple Victoria sponge base, baked in a tray, spread with raspberry jam while still warm, then scattered with desiccated coconut that stuck to the jam like snow on wet ground. The tray was cut into squares, and the pieces were served warm with custard, or eaten cold straight from the tin at a bring-and-buy sale. The coconut added a chew and a subtle sweetness that elevated a basic sponge into something memorable. It was the default cake at church fêtes, school bake sales, and Friday tea tables. A whole tray cost less than 20 pence and produced enough squares to feed a dozen people. Not glamorous, not complicated, just reliably good and cheap enough to make without thinking twice. Number 3. Baked egg custard. A proper baked custard set in a dish, with nutmeg grated across the top. Your mum whisked eggs, sugar, and warm milk together, poured it into a pie dish, and baked it in a water bath until just set. The custard trembled when you touched the dish. The nutmeg spotted the pale yellow surface like freckles. Served cold, it was the most refined pudding a poor family could produce. 3 eggs, a pint of milk, 2 tablespoons of sugar. Under 10 pence. The skill was in the baking. Too long, and it curdled, turning grainy and watery. Just right, and it was silk. That trembling, barely set center was perfection. Nobody bakes custard anymore when you can buy a pot from the chilled aisle. But the bought version tastes of stabilizers and sadness compared to the real thing. Number 2. Gypsy tart. If you grew up in Kent, you know. Gypsy tart was the school pudding that haunted your dreams. A short crust pastry case filled with nothing but evaporated milk and dark muscovado sugar, whisked together until light and mousse-like, then baked until just set. The filling was intensely sweet, almost impossibly so, with a deep treacly flavor from the dark sugar. The texture sat between mousse and fudge. 1 slice was enough. 2 slices was a dare. Schools across Kent served it from the 1950s right through the 70s, and children who tasted it never forgot. 2 ingredients for the filling. That was all. But the technique mattered. Whisk too little and it would not set. Whisk too much and it turned grainy. Gypsy tart barely existed outside Kent and parts of the southeast. Fiercely loved by those who knew it and completely unknown to the rest of the country. Its disappearance from school menus left a hole that no amount of yogurt pots could fill. Number 1. Trifle. Not the supermarket trifle in a plastic tub, not the one from a packet. Your mum's trifle. The one that took up the entire bottom shelf of the fridge and came out on Sundays, at Christmas, and at any gathering that mattered. She layered Swiss roll slices in the bottom of a glass bowl, soaked them with the juice from tinned fruit, maybe a splash of sweet sherry if the children were not looking, then a layer of Shivers jelly set around the fruit. Then bird's custard, made thick, poured on and cooled with cling film pressed to the surface so no skin formed. Then whipped cream, real or from a tin of dream topping, swirled across the top. Finished with hundreds and thousands, glaced cherries and flaked almonds. The whole thing cost about 40 pence and served 10. It was architecture. It was tradition. Through that glass bowl you could see every layer, distinct and colourful. The red of the jelly, the yellow of the custard, the white of the cream. Children pressed their faces to the side, counting the layers, claiming the cherries before a spoon had been lifted. Trifle was not just a pudding. It was a statement. It said we may not have much, but we have this. And it is magnificent. The supermarket version in its plastic tub is an insult to the memory. Your mum's trifle was love made visible, layered in glass, and shared with everyone at the table. These 25 forgotten puddings tell the story of a decade when families made sweetness from almost nothing. Try one this week. Dig out a tin of carnation, make a custard from birds, bake a treacle tart from 3 ingredients. Then tell me in the comments which one your family made. I want to know if gypsy tart was really only a Kent thing, or if it traveled further than anyone admits. Subscribe if this brought back memories, and I will see you in the next one.